Hello, now today we are going to be talking about how to get the equation of a line. So if anywhere we ever see a question asking us for the equation of a line or anything that refers to a line and we need to find its equation, this is the formula we are going to be using. And again, page 18 in the log tables, second we see coordinate geometry coming up, that page 18 gets opened up so we see all the equations available to us. And these are the two that we're going to be focusing on today. We already know this one. This is the slope formula. So this is our equation of our line formula, and we're going to look at how to use it today. So the first way that you could be given information about finding the equation of a line would be like the situation I've drawn up here, where we're given a line, we're given a point on the line, and we're given its slope. So again, m little l is going to be the slope of the line L, and it's a half. So I'm told straight away that the slope of this line is a half. Now I didn't need to be told that if I was given the picture, because I know how to find that information. I could pick 2 points on my line, so I have a point given to me here. I could also pick another point on the line, and I'd be able to use my slope formula to find out the slope using the formula, or I could do rise over run. So if I run across by 4, I go up by 2. I rise by 2. So 2 over 4 rise over run. And if I put that in the calculator, it simplifies down to a half. But in this case, I was given that the slope was a half and that I had a 0.49. So I want to get the equation of the line L. So what am I going to do? I'm going to write down the information I'm given. In this case, I'm told that the slope is a half, and I'm given a point on the line. I'm given the point 4, 9. Now, I want the equation of the line. Second I hear that phrase in my exam paper, I'm opening up page 18 in my log tables, and I'm looking for this formula here, and I'm going to write down my formula. So y minus y1 is equal to m on x minus x1. So that's the formula I use anytime I hear equation of the line. And I have written down the information that I'm given about this situation. And do I have enough information to proceed? Well, I know that x1, y1 is going to be a point. Well, I already have a point on my line. I have an x1 and a y1, so that's sorted. The only other thing that I can see here is my slope, my m here, and I know the slope of this line, half, is going to go in here. But I have an x and a y as well. But if I think about the equation of a line, this isn't the first time I've heard of the idea of the equation of a straight line. I know, if I come over down to the bottom of my page over here, that the equation of a line is going to look something like 3x plus 5y minus 2 is equal to 0. You have dealt with the equations of straight lines like that before, or you could have ended up with an equation in the form y minus 2x plus 7. You could have gotten an equation like that. We've seen the equations of straight lines before when we've looked at functions and graphing. So we know what the equation of a line looks like, and we know that it should have an x and a y in it. So we can see the x and the y aren't going to get substituted for anything. They're going to be in the final answer. They're part of the equation already. So I have my formula. I know what x1 and y1 are, and I know what m is. So that's the information I need. To get the equation of a line, I need a point on the line, and I need the line's slope. And that's always going to be true. So now I have those two pieces of information. I'm going to sub into my formula. So I have y minus, everything always goes in brackets, remember? So y1 is 9, so 9 in brackets, is equal to m is a half, so I put in a half, and x minus x1 is 4. So I write that out, and now I have x minus 4. Now, There's a few different ways that we could proceed from here, but in general, we don't like fractions in equations. If we can, we get rid of them. And this one isn't too hectic to get rid of. If I have half here, and I don't have any other fractions, the lowest common denominator, all of the denominators here are really 1. So the lowest common denominator here is 2, which means I can multiply both sides of my equation by my lowest common denominator, and that's going to get rid of my fraction. So I'll have nicer maths to deal with after that. So 2 multiplied by each thing inside this bracket. So 2 multiplied by y is 2y. 2 multiplied by minus 9 is minus 18, is equal to 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I'm just left with 1 multiplied by x minus 4, which is x minus 4. Now getting rid of that fraction has made everything a lot nicer for me to deal with. At this point, pretty much the maths is done, but the standard way of giving the equation of a line is where we have the x, the y, and the number all over on the left-hand side. So let's rearrange things so that we have that. So I don't want anything over here. I want 0 on the right-hand side for this type of equation. So what I'm going to do is take away x from both sides. Minus x plus 2y minus 18 is equal to minus 4. And I want 0 on this side, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. I must do it to both sides to keep my equation balanced. I have minus x plus 2y minus 14 is equal to 0. And that's my equation written out in the way that we like it, with all of the x, y, and number over on the left is equal to 0. So that's one type of equation of the line question done. The only other style of one that we can get is if we were asked about a line going through A and B. So I'm going to draw that for you now. Now, I've drawn in my red line for A and B. So you can see the line going through the points A and the point B. And I want to find the equation of AB. So what I'm going to do is write down those 2 points. I want the equation of the line that goes through the point A and the point B. So I know I'm dealing with the equation of a line, so I write down my formula. Now x1 and y1 are a point. So I have 2 points. I have an x1, a y1, I have an x2, and a y2. y2. So I have those points, so I definitely have my x1 and y1 sorted. I've got a point on the line. In fact, I have 2. But what am I missing? I'm missing the slope. I don't have the slope given to me in this particular case. So what am I going to need to do? I'm going to need to do an extra step. I'm going to need to use my slope formula with my 2 points, my slope formula, to find the slope, and then I'm going to be able to sub into this formula. But in terms of exams, getting through exams, what did I do? I wrote down the information I was given. I recognized that there was a formula I wanted to use, so I write that formula down. And I see what information I can sub into it. And then if I see that there's something missing, there'll always be a formula that you have enough information to use. So if you follow these steps of writing down the information you're given and the formulas that it mentions in the question, you'll be very well set up to be able to do any exam questions. So now we're going to find the slope. The slope of AB. We're going to have our y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1. Everything in brackets. So y2 is minus 5 minus y1 is 1 all over x2 is 6 minus 3 minus 3 when we put this in the calculator exactly as written, we will, well, first of all we'll get minus 6 all over 3, and then we'll get minus 2 over 1, or just minus 2. So the slope of AB is going to equal minus 2. And just, yeah, so the slope of AB is minus 2. Now I have enough information to sub into my equation, my line formula. So I have y minus y1 is 1 is equal to minus 2 on x minus 3. And that's coming from this formula here. Y minus y1 is equal to m multiplied by x minus x1. So I have my information, and now I want to simplify and get my equation. So I have y minus 1 is equal to, I don't have a fraction here this time, so I'm just able to multiply this out. So a reminder, what's outside the bracket gets multiplied by each thing inside. So I get minus 2x, minus by minus is plus, 2 by 3 is 6. Now I want to get everything over on the left-hand side, so it's in the form that I like. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides because I want 0x's on this side. I'm going to minus 6 from both sides to get 0 numbers on that side, on the right-hand side. And when I do that, I get 2x plus y. There's no symbol in front of the y, so it means it's positive. Minus 1 minus 6 is minus 7 is equal to 0. And that is my equation. Now, the only extra thing I wanted to remind you of is our perpendicular lines, because it was the most complicated thing we did in the last section. If I look at the slope of my line L, it's equal to a half, and if I look at the slope of AB, it's equal to minus 2 over 1. Well, are the lines, the blue line and the red line, perpendicular? That is there a right angle in between them? And we can see that there is. And what do we know about the two slopes? Well, if I take one of the slopes, if I take my slope of a half and I flipped it upside down, it would be 2 over 1. And if I changed its sign, it would be minus 2 over 1. And lo and behold, it is the slope of AB. So that tells us that the line L and the line through AB are perpendicular to each other. So that's a reminder of how perpendicular slopes work. And that's what we need to be able to use for now.